I'm Jake Gardner from Westbound Down Brewing Company, and this is your craft beer and brewing tip of the week. Everybody is going to be talking about dissolved oxygen and creating longevity in any style of beer. And we'll touch on that quite a bit, and certainly it's why our biggest investment in any tool in this brew house has been in the Anton Par C-Box. But a couple things that aren't often talked about is pH and excess free amino nitrogen in packaged product. So let's jump into those two things first. pH in our brew house has been consistently shown by our sensory team that when pH is lower in packaged products, so I'm talking about after dry hop, these beers score better on hedonic blind tastings, hedonic tastings that aren't blind, and true to target tests. This makes some sense just intuitively. If we're trying to make very hop-forward beers that focus on tropical fruit and citrus fruit flavors, your brain associates those with being bright flavors and having some snappiness to them. But further, we found that it isn't just this lower pH brings drinkability, it makes bitterness more fine and more pleasant. It also breathes more life into the window of these beers. Beers that we can get to be closer in the 4.3s post dry hop tend to have a longer window of being in this brilliant moment in hoppy beer. I'm drinking Spirit of the West right now. This is our World Beer Cup batch, so it was packaged the week of, I believe, 3/17, and in case this is released later, it is the beginning of May. So we're in this 40-ish day mark, and this beer is still drinking beautifully, and I know it was in the low 4.3s pH. And consistently, that's something we find. As we approach 4.5, bitterness becomes harsher, and hop character dulls sooner, not necessarily right away, but sooner, as beer is in the 40-day plus range. One other reason we think lower pH is important is drinkability. We're not quite positive why lower pH would extend the life of these beers, but I think some of it is just as non-dissolved oxygen related staling agents come into play. Strecker aldehyde, Strecker degradation precursors, which we'll discuss later, as well as dissolved oxygen. Having a clearer definition of fruit flavors, which is aided in that lower pH, seems to continue to push the hop flavors we experience when the beer is young later. And I can't emphasize enough, the beers are just more pleasant and easier to drink, and there is something to enjoying beers like cold and fresh and light Pilsner malt, lower pH beers that are snappy. You're getting them down your neck faster, and I think that does play some role in this. Maybe it's just I like to drink a lot and it aids in that, but regardless, the hop character is undeniably better when the beer is fresh. It seems to keep that window open longer and keeps that fruity flavor fresh. For more on creating longevity in West Coast IPA while keeping high aroma impact, click the link below.